Hello, Ian, and welcome to Metalegun. I am Dr. Reifstein, and well, it is a real pleasure to have you with us. This year, Metalegun is celebrating its 25th anniversary, so it feels really appropriate to speak with an artist like you, whose career has now spanned for 45 years and who continues to create ambitious new music. The main reason for our conversation today is the forthcoming Consortium Project 6 album, Legacy of Empires, which will be released through Frontiers Music. Ian, thank you very much for joining us.
You're welcome. Thanks for the invitation. It's great to be on Metalagun.
Oh, you pronounced perfect. Okay, so let's start with some questions about Consortium Project 6. Legacy of Empires is arriving as the sixth chapter of Consortium Project, and as I commented before, is also marking your 45 years as a professional singer, songwriter, producer, keyboard player, everything, musician in the end. Why do you think this was the right moment to bring the project back?
I had the idea for many, many years. It was at the back of my mind. I kept on putting the Consortium 6 to do. First of all, just want to explain quick, to do a project like this takes a hell of a lot of organization. You have to get all the musicians together. You have to finance the whole thing, which takes a lot of money. And normally I would do this over 2 years. I did the Consortium Project 6 within about 6 months in total, from songwriting to recording to mix, which is the fastest I've ever done a production. So Legacy of Empires, for me, even though it's my 45th year in the music, it was the fastest I ever got an album together. And the reason why I had a window of opportunity, ELEGY, after doing a 3-year reunion tour, when Henk van der Laars and Gilbert Pot said, after we did our last show in Holland at the Prog Power Europe Festival, they said, right, we're gonna now start writing new songs, carry on writing new songs for the next ELEGY album. And that was in October 2024. So basically, at that moment, I had an opportunity to do it. And the album was actually finished by March 25.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so it is surprising to me because I have had the chance to listen to the album, and it doesn't at all sound like it has been done in a rush in only six months. So it sounds very well elaborated, very high quality music. By the way, congratulations, because I like it a lot. And
Oh, thanks.
I am preparing now my review for Metalegun, but it will be a great one. So another question about consortium project in general, it has always been built around your artistic vision, but of course with many musicians from many different bands and countries. Do you see consortium project as a solo project, a collective, or something that kind of lies somewhere between the two?
It's absolutely not a solo project. The whole idea, I started Consortium back in 1999. The initial first album, Criminals and Kings, I contacted in 98 a number of musicians, and two of them I'm really great friends with. The idea that was Patrick Rondat and Stefan Lil from Van and Plas. Patrick Rondat I brought into ELEGY after Henk stepped out. So Patrick played on the Forbidden Fruit album from ELEGY and Principles of Pain. It was always the idea I wanted to bring musicians together around the world. And instead of being like a business consortium, that's where the term consortium comes from. Normally you hear it in the business world. I wanted to do a musical consortium and have the opportunity to work with different guitar players, singers, keyboard players, songwriters, and see what kind of musical adventure and what kind of musical atmosphere I could create by working with different musicians, very talented musicians. So the whole thing triggered off in 1999 with Criminals and Kings, but it's always been a project. I always did it outside of ELEGY and anything else I did. And when ELEGY stopped in 2005, I think it was, we did the last few shows. Originally, we stopped in 2005. I carried on until the 5th album from Consortium Project, C5 Species. And in my concept, I actually ended my story. And that was how I was going to leave it. But as things worked out, I'd worked on a song with Casey Grillo. He was in Camelot at first. Now he's the drummer of Queensryche. And so I had actually the makings of one song already done in Florida. And I had the basic idea for the concept written down with some song titles, including the album title. But I didn't have music for the song titles. It wasn't until a guy called Johan Cadat from Asylum Pyre, France, contacted me. I think that was early, let me think, before ELEGY actually decided to get back together again. That must have been around 2022. And he contacted me because he liked Rock Emporium. He heard Rock Emporium Brute Force, which was the second Rock Emporium album I did. And he said he'd like to work on some songs with me for Rock Emporium. And I said, okay, but instead of it being Rock Emporium, what about doing it for Consortium Project? And he said, okay, I'll get some ideas together and I'll let you know. Then I got a phone call. Henk from ELEGY wanted to put the band back together again. So I had to put my plans on hold for a Consortium 6. And then it wasn't until the October of 2024, I contacted Johan again and I said, right, we have a small window of opportunity. We have to go for it. Send me your ideas as soon as possible. And as soon as he sent me the riff for the first song he wrote, which became the album title, I knew straight away that this was it. That was going to be the music for the title track, Legacy of Empires. So it was thanks to Johan Cadat, basically, who kickstarted the whole thing for me with Consortium 6.
Well, as you are explaining everything, my mind is boiling with many new questions apart from the ones that I have ready. But first of all, I have to admit that I knew your answer was gonna be this one in advance because after listening to Legacy of Empires, I get that idea that is really a consortium of very talented and amazing musicians from different bands and not a personal or solo album. So it's really something you can notice there. I mean, there is room for everyone and it's very well done. So that's something I really like, and particularly because I am a really intense fan of Royal Hunt, of Banden Plus, of course, of your work and the ELEGY, and everything is there. I mean, sometimes you say, oh, this is kind of a little bit Royal Huntish, let's say. But well, I really enjoy it. It's really, I'm the typical fan for this album.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry.
Well,
Yes.
You mentioned that it's reminded you of Royal Hunt. It's really funny. I did the Black and Black album with Andre Anderson years ago, but it's just purely coincidence that I had contact with Alan Sorensen. It wasn't because of Royal Hunt at all. I hadn't had contact with Andre Anderson for years. It was because I was looking for a drummer for Rock Emporium 2 Brute Force, and that's why I contacted Alan Sorensen, because I loved his videos online, his YouTube videos. And he wasn't just the drummer of Royal Hunt. he was also in another well-known band, and that's basically why I contacted him. Not because of Roll Hunt, it was just purely coincidence. The sound of this album, actually, Johan Cadet wrote 2 songs. He went on to write 2 songs. That was Secrets of Creation and Legacy of Empires, the title track. I contacted Stefan Lill, who's my old buddy. He was on the earlier Consortium albums. My idea was to get Stefan back together with Patrick Rondat. Patrick Rondat, unfortunately, was busy promoting his, at the time last year, I think it was, his solo album. He did an instrumental album again. And so what we did was I asked him if he would play the solo on Legacy of Empires. And Stefan Lill, I actually invited for him to play guitar for me on my song, A Kingdom for Heroes, which he's now done a video for, which is now on YouTube. That was the second video single. A Kingdom, Legacy of Empires was the first video, and the second one was my song, A Kingdom for Heroes. To my surprise, not only did Stefan want to play on A Kingdom for Heroes, but he said, do you need any more songs? Because I've got some songs lying around. If you're interested. I said, yeah, please. I was so overwhelmed, over the moon, that he wanted to be part of it again, because there'd been 15 years in between since we'd done this stuff together with Consortium Project. And I had no idea that, you know, Vandenplas are huge these days, and the schedule that they had with live shows and studio and acoustic album recordings, it was so full. To my fortune, Stefan Lill also had a little pause in the Vandenplas schedule, and he had these 3 songs written, and I didn't have to do anything to them. The music was finished completely from the beginning to the end. He played in all the guitars, solos, rhythms. He did all the keyboard parts. And then all I had to do was ask for one track. I asked Andreas Passmark, and that was my song, A Kingdom for Heroes. That's why you've got the rhythm section from Roll Hunt. But Stefan worked with a bass player who used to work with Michael Schenker Group. Frankie Rummler is also a German musician, and it was because of Stefan that I worked with Frankie on this album as well. So really the sound Stefan brought, kind of the old Consortium sound, say like from Consortium 2, Continuum in Extremis, he brought that old What You Sow You Reap was a track that Stefan wrote, which was a killer riff. And he said to me afterwards, back in the day, shit, this riff was so strong, it could have been a Vandenplas song. And I said, yes, but you wouldn't have had that killer vocal line. So anyway, he came with these 3 new songs. He started off with a track called A Declaration of Independence. And the atmosphere, it was for me as if we'd never left, as if the 15 years in between were never there. It's as if we'd done the album, say, the previous year, and then we got back together again. How about, have you got any songs? How about doing another Consortium album? So it was fabulous. And then he did another track, which is going to be the new video. There's one more video coming from Stefan's song called Gods from the Heavens Above. So that's an exclusive for you. Stefan's filmed his video parts, his guitar parts for the video, and I've just filmed my vocal parts. So it should be ready the end of August, early September. So after the release. So, and then the 3rd song Stefan wrote was Awake the Forgotten Souls. And for me, that's all I needed. I had a killer title track, Legacy of Empires. I had my own song with Stefan on guitar, A Kingdom for Heroes, and then Stefan wrote 3 tracks. and I knew straight away I was on a winner with this album. So that's basically why you said it had that. It's melodic prog metal, and I guess maybe the drumming style and the bass style from Alan Sorensen and Andreas Passmark, maybe that's what gives you that feeling. And I see that as a compliment that you feel that it's got that kind of flavor from Royal Hunt, because I love Royal Hunt. So I've got the best of both worlds.
Oh, yeah, totally. Well, I have to say, Gods from the Heavens Above, it is one of my favorites of the album, together with The Burden of Threat and the Pyramids of Power is also a very, well, all of them. I mean, there is no filler in this album, but
Yeah.
these ones are really, really amazing. So,
Pyramids of Power is going to be the next single.
well
to coincide with the release on the 14th of August from Consortium 6. So there's another wish for you, one of your favorite songs, Pyramids of Power. Yeah. And what is it that you like about that? Is it because it's more progressive? Because that was written by Luca Solito. Luca's from Italy.
I like a lot the keyboard lines at the beginning.
Yeah.
I don't see. Maybe I don't see it. This is just my opinion. I see more progressive stuff. Let's say in the Burden of Threat. I don't consider Pyramids
Yeah.
of Power maybe the most prog title of the album.
Yeah.
But in general, the environment that you create in the song is really amazing. The guitar work there, you feel like in a pyramid in the end. So
well,
it's
I've
very
worked with
well done.
Luca now since we did Rock Emporium 2 Brute Force, and he's a young, really extremely talented guy. And that's why basically I wanted to bring him in on the album. And he said, "Do you need any more songs?" And by chance, I still missed 2 tracks for the album. I had the titles. Pyramids of Power was one of them. And he said, "What kind of style are you looking for?" And I said, "Well, I'd like to get with Pyramids. I'd like to get a bit more proggy stuff and something with some dual harmonies." And he did it. He did for both of his own songs. The 2 songs that you mentioned, he wrote both of them, both tracks.
Oh.
The Burden of Truth is also from Luca Solito. And I never knew. He told me, he's been playing, he was taught classical piano, and he learned piano when he was a kid. That was, I think he said he first started as a kid with music lessons on the piano. But anyway, he did all not the Hammond organ. That was a colleague of mine and a friend of mine from the Netherlands, Peter Jan Clevens. And he's also been on one of the earlier Consortium albums, guesting on it. And we worked together in my old band, Hammerhead, from the Netherlands. That was from the 80s. But all the synthesizer parts on Luca's 2 songs, A Burden of Truth and Pyramids, they were all performed, especially any twin harmony parts were performed by Luca on the guitar and also the synthesizer. I had no idea he could play such fantastic lead synth. So I'm glad that you liked them.
Oh yeah, it's very a very well done work, definitely. I am surprised that I see that there is, well, I get the track list, of course, but I didn't have the list of composers in this album. But from your comments, I see there is a lot of people involved in the composition of the songs. How many, more or less?
Yeah, it's Johan Cadot from Asylum Pyre. He writes 2 tracks. 3 tracks are written by Stefan Lilfen van den Plas. Luca Solito, he's got a solo career. He's an amazing Italian guitar player. He writes the 2 songs that we've just spoke about. I co-wrote 1 song with Casey Grillo. That was actually on the shelf for a long time. I never did anything with it. The idea was that we would do more for Consortium, but too many albums came in between, and I kept on having to postpone it, and then I got ELEGY came along and we did almost 3 years with the ELEGY reunion. So Casey Grillo, Queensryche former Camelot drummer, he was also a co-writer, and that was basically I did 2 tracks, the Constellation of the Stars, the opening track to create the atmosphere with the spoken voice. I wanted to get like that kind of what we did in the past, to create that kind of like that you're in a concept and explain about a little bit about part of the concept. And I did a Kingdom for Heroes. That was the other track. So that gives us the 10 tracks. Yeah.
Okay, and well, now that you mentioned that there is this concept involved, we will talk a little bit about it. But first of all, how directly does Legacy of Empires continue with the history and ideas of the previous Consortium project albums?
How does it compare with the previous albums?
Compare, or if the story and the ideas in terms of concept has kind of some link.
Well, I did the concept. It started in 1999, world going out of control. Sport of the day was to bet on people boxing to the death. And kind of, you see that a lot in movies. At the time, there was a lot of discussion about oil, about global warming. I brought that in C2, Consortium 2. We couldn't live outside. It's set then, the first part is set kind of like in the 60s, 70s, a world becoming more and more aggressive. As time went on, JFK gets shot. You hear that in the opening part of Consortium 2. Women eventually split the species into 2. They move, that's where the mono male and the neo femme comes from. It's a sci-fi concept. So I envisaged a world where men and women couldn't live together anymore. That's why I have, in the beginning, I didn't have any women, to my shame, singing on the first album, but later I started to introduce female vocalists. So in C2, you have problems with global warming. Now I'm in Holland, not far. I'm just down the road from Amsterdam, just outside Amsterdam. And today we've had 34 Celsius, which is unknown for us. I know the scientists said that we're in an El Nino, but we've never had these kind of heat waves. It started in April and we've already had 3 heat waves in the Netherlands. And now we have forest fires, the same as Spain and France, in direction Maastricht, in Limburg. So in the Consortium story, I envisage a world going out of control, global warming. So in the future, people can't breathe the air. So they have to build a biosphere. That's in Consortium 2. In Consortium 3, there's a scholar who finds these stone tablets, scriptures written of the past, the present, and future, a little bit like Nostradamus predictions. So they come to in the future, because we're like 375 years in the future. Everybody shares in the politics of power. You know, it's like a revolving position. Everyone has a say. There's no like we're told like by the European Union how to live our lives, what clothes to wear, what foods to eat, etc., etc. In my concept story, everybody has an opportunity to voice their opinion and be part of the decision making. And they come to the conclusion in Consortium 3 that what they found is predictions from the past, present, and future, and they go in search of men, because women live on their own. They manage to, through artificial insemination and human cloning, because that was in the media through all the years that I started Consortium, and things that I heard in the media, I tried to incorporate them in the concept. That's why I said about global warming, and now we're still being affected 15 years later, even more. So they go in search of the mono males, men, and they eventually reunite the species. In C4, they discover that our origins are not from planet Earth, but from an alien world. And in C5, the scholar who was able to translate the stone tablets that they discovered after an earthquake in the biosphere, the scholar, he finds in one of the pyramids, because I'm a great believer that these pyramids were not built to house pharaohs like graves. I'm a great believer that there's more to it that meets the eye, and we've only scratched on the surface. But if we delve deeper, I know a farmer discovered a pyramid in Serbia when he was ploughing the field with his tractor, and he thought it was a rock. And then when they cleared all the soil away, there was a pyramid. There's a pyramid in Tenerife as well. If you know anything about history, about Spanish history, there's also a pyramid. There was also someone who reconstructed the boats to travel from Egypt to see if you could go in a boat to travel across. And he managed to make the travel. They rebuilt this boat out of reeds, and he went from Egypt through to Tenerife. And there's a monument, a pyramid monument. I believe that was what the constellation of the stars is. All around the planet, you have like different pyramids. You had the Mayas; they had pyramids. I went to that's going to be in C7 if I get that far to do a 7th album. I was at Teotihuacan pyramids, took pictures on top, being interviewed by a rock magazine. And I was making that connection in my mind's eye. When the Christmas Islands, you have all these statues all over the planet in different cultures. They were all worshipping these like massive like constructions that have been built. And I'm a great believer that there is more to it than just, the hieroglyphics, the pharaohs. I believe that there is some kind of a connection. When they pinpoint all these pyramids around the world, they point to different constellations in the stars. So who knows, maybe one day Donald Trump will tell us the truth that are in Antarctica relics of flying saucers. What was Obama at the end of his presidency doing, traveling to Antarctica? And he landed on Antarctica with a whole bunch of important people. You don't do that as a president just to say hi to the soldiers at the end of your presidency. So I'm absolutely sure this is what I've believed. I've been to Egypt a number of times. I went as a kid. I saw Tutankhamun's body and his sarcophagus in the Liverpool Museum. My granddad was a security man there, and he was able to bring, before the museum opened the Tutankhamun exhibition, he was able to bring my brother and me inside, and face to face, I saw his little body right close up as a little boy. I was only about 12 at the time, and I went with my wife about 3 years ago. I think it was 3 or 4 years ago. We went to Tutankhamun's tomb. Now, no one could have told me that 50 years later, I'd go to Tutankhamun's tomb. So this is my fascination, why I've done this sci-fi concept. C5, we discover in C5 that species, that this scholar determines from the hieroglyphics, the scriptures, that there's an alien spaceship buried underneath the pyramid, the Giza pyramid in Giza, the Giza pyramid, sorry. And he is able to operate the spaceship, and he flies using pre-programmed flight paths. He travels and finds our alien ancestors, And in doing so, they are afraid of mankind because we're very aggressive, and that's why they left planet Earth. And they come back and try and destroy Earth. And a simple thing like the common flu virus kills them off. He took the flu virus with him, and that basically kills off our alien ancestors. At that point in the story, the hard part with C6 was, how do I go back? How do I continue? Because I finished the concept, and I'm a huge fan of Star Wars. I took a page out of George Lucas's book. He went back in time with the Star Wars trilogies, with the Star Wars movies. And he went, and that's exactly what I did, to the very beginning. How the alien ancestors came to planet Earth was through a prince, a king to be, a pharaoh, and his queen to be. They want to get married. Their parents, their alien parents. It's all crazy. I know it sounds all crazy, but anyway, just see it as a kind of science fiction love story. They want to get married. They want to come together. He wants her to be his queen. Their parents are totally against it. So what do? They turn their back on their own alien species, their own parents, their race, and they go in search of a planet where they can make their own life and a new planet and a new world for themselves. And hence they find Earth, and they share their AI, alien intelligence. They share it with primitive humans. And that's how I've got to a C6. And in C7, I've now got the basic idea to do a C7 album. And what I want to do is make the link, what I was just explaining, with all these pyramids and all these structures that have been built and buried under the sands for thousands of years. I want to make that link if I ever get to a C7, because it's, like I said, an enormous amount of work. But anyway, that's basically it.
Okay.
Crazy?
No, it's crazy, but as many sci-fi histories, I am also a fan of sci-fi, so I really like it. Let's do something, because I think the Zoom is gonna close in a few minutes, because I get this warning. So if you are okay, we can maybe disconnect 1 second and reconnect again, so we gain another 40 minutes. Is it okay for you?
Yeah, but just in case I can't get a connection again, I just wanted to say that there's one person playing on the album who did a guest guitar for me. And that is from Niagara. He was the ex-guitar player from Spain, from Niagara, and Manolo Arias. And he's an incredible guy. He's an incredible guy. Such a nice man. He was so cool when I contacted him. He got in touch with me years ago for a thing called Magics, and we did a cover, one of the Bad Company free covers together, and I guested a little piece for him. And ever since then, I've been really impressed by him, and I've kept contact with him, and it was great to have him. I wish he could have wrote a song on this album, maybe in the future, but he just play an important part. He plays the solo on The Secrets of Creation. I didn't have a solo on that, and he's done a beautiful solo part, and he also did a video playback. So I hope I can do something with that. It maybe later on, after the Gods from the Heavens Above video is finished. So we've got a bit of Spain on the album as well.
Yes. Yeah, I was going to say, I am impressed that in this really amazing and big international playground you built, there is a Spanish contribution. Manolo Arias is one of our greatest rock players, guitar players, so we are proud of him, and I am glad that you acknowledge him as the great musician he is. So very nice.